Hello, my name is Belle from Thailand. Okay, I can remember when I want to be an entrepreneur. I think I want to be an entrepreneur since I was young, but I can't remember exactly when. I think because it's about the environment that I grew up. I grew up in a family that has been in agriculture business for a long time, and my parents own the business. So I think it's natural that I want to do the business, I want to own something and be successful like them. And apart from the business, I want to do something that is useful for the society. I just want to see the impact.
Excellent, thank you. And so, Yada?
Hi everyone, my name is Yara, also from Thailand, and great to be here with these amazing
What part of
panelists.
Thailand?
Bangkok. My mom is a little southern, but most of the time I spent in Bangkok. As to who inspired me, I think that when I was younger, I used to sell food at school events. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. It's like once a year we have these events and students can go and sell food. And I remember, and my friend just invited me and I had no idea what these things are all about. But I remember having so much fun creating something and giving it to people where they can buy and eat and they're happy about it and then they give me money. I remember that feeling was very amazing to know that someone is, like I have created something that people actually want and they want it enough to pay for it. And I think that is kind of the drive for what I'm doing today. I didn't imagine myself to be doing something in startup. I have no tech background. Financial services, I also did not study any of that. But what drives me is more of the ability for me to create something that people want, and that happens to be something that people really, really want.
Thank you. And so I'm going to continue with you and ask, what did you study in high school, college, or even graduate school? And did you have, I think you answered, you wanted to be an entrepreneur from the ground, right? So what did you study in school?
Yeah, I studied marketing when I was in undergrad. And then I went and worked for a consulting firm, and then I went to a master's degree. So all my degrees have been quite business. And now I have to learn how to manage coders, developers, engineers, and stuff like that. I think that one of the impactful lessons that I learned at Stanford, which is doing my master's degree, was I always doubted myself whether or not I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. But at this class, they brought a lot of entrepreneurs who failed, who were doing so, very few who were successful actually, and for us to learn from them. And I saw that they were very vulnerable. They shared about their confusion, their doubts in themselves, basically I think their fear. And so I see myself a little bit in them, and I thought, and a lot of them are women, and I was thinking if these women can do it and fight through all their fear and their doubts, then maybe I can do it too. And it just takes a lot of grit and perseverance and a lot of your will to do it. So that was kind of my education. It has nothing to do with what I do now, but
Thank you for your honesty, and I'm sure there's some of you students out in the audience who sort of feel the same way. So you can overcome that fear. And so let's move on to Yada.
Okay.
Belle, I'm sorry.
Okay. I graduated from Thammasat University in Thailand. Okay, liberal art for the bachelor degree and marketing, for the master degree at Thammasat University. Yep, and I'm very proactive while I'm studying both bachelor degree and master degree. I'm very proactive in entrepreneur. I always find something to sell. I always want to set up my small business and sell something. So there is no specific class that teach me to be how to entrepreneur. It's more like a proactive way to figure out what's the way that I can learn to be entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. What's your story?
I think she's looking at me. Okay. Okay, let me start with a personal story first for you to understand my context. As I was telling you, the family that I come from, I'm sorry, the echo is driving me crazy. Okay, cool. The family that I come from has no business women nor college girls. So when I started studying, it wasn't not only like lack of inspiration. I had it as an you can't study, you know? So entrepreneurship wasn't an option for me. I was just thinking like, please God, let me have a normal college, not even an entrepreneurship. Where I come from, men has the power of the women by financial control. So when I was young, I started telling to myself like, okay, when you're a grown-up, you'll need to have control of your own finances in order to avoid violence. So when I was a little girl, I wasn't dreaming about being an astronaut or a ballerina. I was trying to copy my father, you know? Like, I used to play with my suitcase, and I was like, I'm going to go to the work and stuff. Terrible acting, but it was cool at that age. And I remember my mom was like, why is she not baking or something, you know? She was so scared because I was playing a male's role, you know? When I grew up, I started getting that concept stronger and stronger, you know? Like you're gonna get your freedom through financial freedom. So that's what I did. When I was a little girl, everything I could sell, I sell. Everything I could do that could get me some money, I would do it, you know? So when I got 17 years old, it was my first entrepreneurship, and it was super famous back in my country. So I was like, what's going on, you know? And I fall in love with the ecosystem.
And what was that business at 17?
Oh, don't Google it because it's already broken. But my first company, I didn't started it, and that's important too. When you say the word entrepreneur, you say like, okay, I have to sit down and think of the next Uber, and there are creative people, which I love you. You're one. Okay, everyone. But in my case, my first entrepreneurship was a clothing brand. And it was like super handmade when the handmade wasn't so popular. And American Express got us. They were like, you're going to be the image for American Express in all Latin America as women in entrepreneurship, because that was super new. And for me, being the American Express ambassador was like, what's going on? You know, and then Forbes, and then interviews, and then I started selling in the biggest departments in my country, and then I broke it, but that's another story.
Thank you for sharing. And so last but not least, let's hear your story.
So in order for me to explain my training, I would like to explain a little bit about what I do, because most people don't really know what people do in real estate development or hospitality development. My job essentially is to get a piece of greenfield land, figure out what to do with it, put together a team of designers, architects, interior designer, put together the forecast, building the project, doing the project management throughout construction, and then eventually putting them in operations. So my training, you know, real estate is it's a big thing. It's all around us. We're in a building, we're in a hotel. This is considered a real estate product. So where do we start, right? I've always been in school for business, from my undergraduate at Boston University to my master's degree. And in year 2, I started an architecture firm. So that was my first training into what real estate is. I started with what a building is, how does it look, how do you want it to be, how to communicate with people who are bringing it into vision in the language that they understand. So I started studying architecture as well to communicate. And then beyond this training in architecture, once I got back to Vietnam, I started working for Savills to understand what is inside an actual building. So each GFA, how do you make the money, whether it's commercial real estate or residential real estate? And through this training, I understand a little bit more about what goes on inside a building. And then after that, I started a restaurant doing wine and spirit distribution, so dabble in F&B, to learn the operation side of business in Vietnam, and also understanding how PR, marketing, how cost and expenses works in Vietnam, human relations, and just how to build a team, when I first got back to Vietnam. Beyond that, I started doing the contract for my first hotel in 2016, and negotiated a hotel, put it through to construction, and now the hotel is 4 years old. So I have gone through a whole cycle of 3 hotels and now building 10 more. So that is my main job and the step-by-step that I took to get this training, because real estate is managing a big investment, and I also think that it takes time to get this training.
Absolutely. So as a little girl, did you ever build with building blocks and things like that? Was that what you loved to do?
Actually, as a girl, I was mostly making clothes for Barbie dolls. I wanted to be a fashion designer instead.
Best laid plans, right? So let's see, Belle. What new skills have you had to learn as you've developed your business that you didn't know you needed before you started?
Oh, a lot. As a startup, right, we have to grow so fast, and things change a lot, change so fast as well. The first thing that I have to learn is how to learn faster and faster, because we have to learn new things all the time. And on top of that, to lead a company, there are many things that I have to learn. For example, decision making, because as a CEO, my task is to make the decision, right? How to make the decision. And on top of that, it is about how to build the organization. No one prepared for us in the university, right? But it's very challenging. It's not easy, right? Because it's about the people, how to build the organization, how to build the people, how to build the cultures. It's very important. That 2 main things that I learned from when I developed my own business.
Was there someone that helped you along the way that could advise you? Or were you kind of all alone?
Yeah, I think it's quite lonely. Yeah, but I try to develop myself, train myself, because I have a clear goal, right? And I aware of where I am, right? So if I have a clear goal and where I am, I can see the gap, right? And I can figure out what's the thing that I have to learn to reach my goal.
And so how did you learn how to be a CEO? I mean, did you do online courses? How did you learn this?
I think we should have a class for a CEO in master degree. Yeah, no class I can learn to be a CEO, because there is no pattern to be a CEO. I think that's the reason why there is no class, right? Different company have different style, different CEO. So FreshGet, I learned from FreshGet to be a CEO.
On the